Hello friends, Jena Harris here. Today I am with my friend and co-host Michael Dake, and we are in session 2 in the Soul Session series, and we are going to be answering a question today from a woman in our community who has asked the question about how to push past the fear of failure or the fear of success to get herself out there for her business. If this is your first time seeing us or our work, well, first of all, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. But the next thing is we're going to actually not be answering it in probably the way that you might be thinking. Rather, we're going to be looking at some of these questions that we're being asked. We're going to be answering them in a very energetic perspective, but also we might be talking about things that you may not be familiar with in our work. So I invite you to check out all the links below the video and definitely comment below the video. Ask us any questions. We would love to answer those for you. And you can also just take a look and a peek at our work. This is actually the second session in the series that we're going to be doing, so I'll also put a link below this video so you can also see the first session as well. And while you're at it, we would love for you to comment below so that we know, and certainly ask your question below too, so you might be able to get it answered as well. So let's get started. How to push past the fear of failure or fear of success to get yourself out there. And now this person is really referring to, having her own business. And, she, just a side note here, I'm just going to give you a little bit of backstory. She shared that, she has her own business. She feels that she has all the quote unquote knowledge, right? All of those things. And I know you're going to have a lot, Michael, because it's what you talk about with the hotel rules, right? Like all of these, costumes that we wear. But, and for me, it's the fear of failure and fear of success are both simultaneously really the same thing, even though, our mind might tell us that they're different. It boils down to fear. This entrepreneur, feels that it's linked around confidence. And so I actually have some notes here that just when I read it, what was hitting me, because obviously, I'm an entrepreneur. Michael, you're an entrepreneur. We all have different experiences. For me, faith is for me found in your heart, trusting and having faith that you can't do anything wrong, that everything that is supposed to be will be. And it even says that in the Bible, the faith of a mustard seed. So going to what you say, Michael, taking off the costume is having that faith, because when you remove the costume, it's not about, oh my gosh, if I let this go, will I be okay? And that is that faith. That is, trusting even when, I think it was Martin Luther King said, put your foot in front of the other foot, even when you don't see the whole staircase. You only see the next step in front of you. And so I say, punch fear in the face and just go for it, girlfriend. Just go for it, because you have nothing to prove to anyone. I could go on a whole tangent here with the whole people pleasing, and I know Michael will dig into that on a, energetic standpoint as far as the costumes, but you have nothing to prove to anyone. I know your mind is probably telling you that you have all of this stuff to prove. And, they get into the whole comparison thing. And honestly, girlfriend, I just want you to just trust and have faith. And the biggest thing is making sure that you surround yourself with people, not necessarily, it's not their job to make you feel good. That's not what I'm saying. You are going to be affected by the people that you surround yourself with. Just be mindful of that. It's nothing to fear or, freak out about, but it's just being mindful. Is this, setting me up, be able to take my costume off? And now, Michael, I'm just going to pass that to you, because I know you're going to have some words of wisdom for her as well.
Well, and part of it, the costume is, remember, we're trying to, one of the Stargate, I think is coming up. The session is basically, are you who you think you are? And then I have in parentheses, this is kabuki theater at its finest. Now, if you don't know what kabuki theater is, it's from Japan, and everybody has a handle, and they put a mask in front of them. And even if you watch it and well, I don't speak Japanese, it's, and all of it, it tends to be very melodramatic just because they're telling stories and whatnot, so forth. You know what's going on simply by their voice inflections and whatnot. You can't see their faces because they have this mask in front of them. And that's what we do. And in the game, you're trying to identify who you are. And so part of that is simply, do I need to? No, but that's part of the game, because you identify who you think you are based on your costume, what you've created. And so these are your emotions and your feelings. So you think that's who you are, then part of it is simply, I have to prove myself. I've got to give myself value. I have to perform. If I don't perform, and if I don't do this, and that, then here comes, if we call it the judgment or the comparison. And that's what the head will always be doing. It's because, now going back to the questions of trying to control the outcome, it's trying to say, are we here? Are we here? Are we over here? Is this okay? Is this okay? Am I going to do this? And your choices are all predicated on what it is that you have experienced. And then you're trying to control that outcome, never knowing that in other words, the law of expectations comes into play. You set expectations, you will be disappointed in this game. And that's the law. You can't change that. The law of expectancy, however, in your heart space is simply, it's already a done deal. And so what we've done is the costumes are simply, and every morning you step out of your heart space directly onto the stage and you begin acting. And it's kind of like, good morning. Here's the itinerary and the agenda for today. And then at 9 a.m., you're going to be in Studio 24, and we're going to work on mistrust issues. And then at 10:30, we're going to be outside in the arena, and we're going to work on being alone and abandoned and those kind of things. We'll have a quick lunch, and then the afternoon is just full of things that you know that you don't really make you happy. How's that sound? Yeah, that's great.
My neighbor. Hey, Michael, I could not resist this. So is this the kabuki? Is this like the, and I've got a
yeah, absolutely.
Like the kabuki.
Yeah.
So this is good old New Orleans.
Yes, absolutely. And so we try to be someone, because if in the game you have to give yourself value, because you always start off from a position of lack. And so going into the game, then you're always setting up that there's, okay, the big three that we all work on is trust issues, or most likely trust, not being able to have it, being alone and abandoned, and simply basically giving away your power. And that's intrinsic in the game. Those are part of the rules. So you're always comparing, you're always judging, you're always trying to measure up. And once you, and as we would say in this game, we have a physical form and we have a physical world or universe. And so what we're trying to do is figure all this stuff out. Now, what we've also injected into this game is a mental part, like what we call is thinking. Well, how's that been working out for you? Anyway, once you engage your head into basically what we call is the mental think, is that you've actually you're on stage, by the way, you've hung up your magic, because in your heart space there's only unconditional love. And that's already implying that there's trust and belief, and what you can call it confidence. There's faith there. There's gratitude and thankfulness and appreciation and compassion and caring for yourself. That's already there. That cannot be taken away from you. I mean, you hear that a lot, in the sense that your love and your light is yours. And in this game, what you're doing is simply creating things that we have basically create and experience all things possible within this game, within the box. You're still in the box. And so within the box, you have the parameters. You can still create. It's kind of like passive creating. In your heart space, there's no limits. There's no time. There's no law of attraction. So when you step into this game, you are automatically, like, in a sense, you're going to hang up your magic at the door. And then you start to reason, and you start to rationalize, and you start to use logic, and you start to use analytics, and you're trying to figure things out. Well, that's the nature of the game. You're trying to figure it out because there's a problem. Something is wrong. Here's the duality, the right, wrong, good, bad, black, and white. And that's not that any of this is right, wrong, good, bad, or black or white. It's simply the nature of the game. It's always the duality. There's no duality in your heart space. So when, to go back to the question, people will have a fear of success and a fear of failure. And like you said, they're exactly the same thing. All you have to do is look at the duality, and you look, because one's going to, if you will, you're going to feel one way and the other way the other way. And you end up in the same place. You're still judging yourself. The people, the outside of you are simply actors and actresses. And the definition of an actor or an actress is simply portraying someone you're not. There's how we get on the stage. Here's our costumes. Here's our masks. So you've met a lot of people and saying, oh, and so this is this, and you go like, wow, what's up with that person? And so going into a being an entrepreneur, then how we think that is, in other words, in this game, it's a logical step. You got to have this, and that, and it tends to be in order. Even if you go into abstract random thinking, it's still in the box. It's still, you can't do this until you do that.
Yes.
And that's how it's set up, because the head is very tiny and you're working with a very limited solution set. So the confidence piece is simply what you've done is, it's already here. That can't be taken away from you. Neither can your love or your light. All of those things, your imagination, your inspiration, your creativity is all right there in your heart space right now. And it never can be taken away from you. What you've done is simply saying, I'm leaving home and I'm stepping onto the stage in the studio. And when you look at things from using the metaphors, it's much more easy for you to, like, not judge yourself, see it from a very different perspective, and then make your choice and know that you can let it go. Because when people, in other words, even if things that you create and they're really terrible, what goes on here is that you think that you own it, even if that's part of me. That's part of me that I created. And if I let that go, even if it's crappy and it's terrible, and I mean, it could be just horrible. People have a fear of letting go of, if I let it go, who am I going to be? Well, you can take the kabuki mask off at any point in time, because no one can take away you. You are always going to be you. Your light never gets dim. It's simply, all you've done is saying, I put the curtain up, now I can't see it. With the fear of, like, am I a success? Am I a failure? Let me give you an example. So I've worked with quite a few people that saying, okay, they go to school and they have a degree in this particular field, and they know everything they need to know. So here's a application that comes in, they find it online. Oh my gosh, this is the perfect job. I'm qualified. Oh my gosh. And they fill the whole application out, which could be, 5 or 6 or 7 pages or something like that. And they get down to the end and they get ready to submit it, and they hit the delete button, because they have a fear, if I do get chosen, I'm going to have to perform. And now, is my performance going to be good enough? So in other words, again, the only person that's ever judged you is you. And the actors in your movie, your book, are simply mirroring back what's inside of you. In other words, what's in your backpack? What are you packing around? because your head will not tell you what's going on. It'll just simply, that's the way it is. And that's what your head will do. It simply will just pack the stuff around. So when she goes into, in a sense, having the confidence, then if she's judging, if she's trying to compare, then you know that, okay, she's in costume, she's reacting because she's trying to figure this out. And so that's the tap on your shoulder. Now you have a costume. Now it's okay to simply wind down your performance, because it doesn't make you feel happy. Because once you engage this, my analogy is that you're out in the round tub in the water with one oar, and you can go in two directions, and both of them are circles, and it doesn't get any better. In other words, you're in the forest again. You just turn around and all you can see is the trees, because you don't have any other answers. Your head does not have any more answers. Your heart space has all the rest of them, and they're all right there. So when she reacts, and again, it can be subtle, because it's like, I'm doing the best I can, I got everything lined up, and then all of a sudden I got this, am I going to be okay? Is this the best thing to do? And when you go into those questions, you're trying to control the outcome. And it's simply allowing you then to focus on, wait a minute. Oh, I am aware. So this is not about being OCD. It's just paying attention to, I'm on stage, I'm acting, and I'm aware of my costume, my emotions and feelings, which are equals to costumes. So when these things come up, it is a perfect example of simply going, wait a minute, I can wind down my performance, I can take a bow, I can say thank you, and I'm not going to rue that performance. I'm not going to resent it. I'm not going to regret it. I'm simply going to smile, step off the stage, and hand the costume into wardrobe. And I'm going to leave it there. And then I'm going to come home. And when I put my hand over my heart space and when I phase shift, I'm simply visioning that when I go into my heart space, that I'm not even, whatever the success or the judgment of success or failure simply doesn't exist there. And know that you can let it go. And believe me, you will never miss it, because there's no time here. And so the more that you know that you have your answers here, and that knowing is not knowledge, you simply know. And that's really just tapping into your magic.
I love that, Michael. And as far as something that you said, I just wanted to also comment that you're saying that, you're stepping out of your heart space when you go into that, fear. And for me, you've heard the term heaven on earth. And to me, that heaven is in your heart.
Thanks for joining today. And if you liked the video, we would love and appreciate you to comment, subscribe, like the video. And Michael, Dake, and I have put together something to help in these times to get out of your head, get into your heart, and also just to move through some of these times that we're going through with grace, ease, and flow. And so if you're interested in that, it's absolutely free. All you have to do to get access to that is sign up on the link below. And it is a heart activation session with myself and a phase shifting session with Michael. I know you're going to love it. So we'll see you next time.
Inside your worries, it's okay now.